Hello, everyone. Yes, very good evening to all of you. आज मॉक इंटरव्यू दिया था इजेड का. नाइस टू हियर दैट. कैसा गया हर्ष? For Sunday class. Okay. Welcome everyone to the second episode of the placement series. भैया परसों फैन फेस्ट है, मैथ सेक्शन कॉन फेस्ट है. ओके, रिवाइज करे क्या क्विकली? कर लो यार, ठीक है. Okay, we'll get back into the structure that we have followed. How many of you are here who have seen the episode 1? How many of you are here who have seen the episode 1? When will you make series on CP like maths? यार कितने सीरीज बनाऊं, कितना कंटेंट बनाऊं? बहुत कंटेंट है. ओके, दुनिया में बहुत कंटेंट है. डोंट आस्क मी टू मेक मोर कंटेंट. I keep creating as much content as possible, but then like there's so much content in this world that I think there was a time when we were like when I was preparing, I was in 2000, I'll use this 2016, right? When there was scarcity. Now we are in 2025, right? I started studying in 2016. Now we are in a world जहां पर there is an overflow, right? इतना कुछ है पढ़ने को, कितना पढ़ोगे, right? The question is how much will you study? There is nothing. There's so much to study. There's so much resource. There is so much things. Now we are at the state of overflow. I don't know why we went from this to this, but maybe like that's how things go, like cyclically, probably, right? तो फ्रॉम अ realm of scarcity when I was learning, कोई resources नहीं होते थे. अब इतना resource, इतने videos है कि कौन सा देखे समझ में नहीं आता है, right? Big follower of you from DP Workshop series. Thanks for inspiring. Super happy to see that DP Workshop series has been helping for many. Okay, so let's come back to the agenda for the series. For those who don't know what placement series is, we pick up problems that have appeared in OAs, in interviews. We take up problems that are design challenges that are given as dev tasks, because what I've realized is more or less people think that only if they do dev, only if they do DSA, they will be able to crack companies. That's not true anymore, right? You have to be someone who can juggle between all of them, become at least decent in both DSA and dev, and maybe keep one of them as stronger form. Okay, so we'll do all of it and we'll try to discuss what all things are being expected, so that people who are watching these series are aware. I think one key things that needs to be there is more of awareness, right? Students don't even know कि dev करना क्या है, DSA करना क्या है, पता ही नहीं है कि कंपनी पूछेंगे क्या, because and then they spend their first year, second year पूरा waste कर देते हैं, right? Then in third year they get to see little bit, some college students get to see a little bit of intern, उनको समझ में आता है थोड़ा बहुत, and by the fourth year comes, then they see कि no intern placement. This is the scenario of India. Okay, so these things, this is what is happening. ये दोनों enjoy कर ले रहे हैं, and then people have zero awareness about this. Okay, and then people try to recover. Whereas if people have the awareness right from first second year, I can guarantee you कि कोई भी company crack करना इतना hard नहीं है. I mean, your preparedness can be at a level with a easy pace. मतलब दिन के 2 घंटे देके you can be at a place where तुम सब company crack कर पाओगे. But you have to start early for that. Okay, so this series will also bring awareness plus a lot of learning. मतलब this is not like कि मैं यहाँ पर सिर्फ ज्ञान की बातें करूंगा. No, we will take up real problems and we'll try to think about how can you solve those problems. Okay, how can you solve those problems, what to read, what to expect, what is happening, right? Because now in 2025 I think you are expected to learn a lot of things. ठीक है. अच्छा, how many of you know कि what all things are being expected from people? Do you have an idea by any chance? Do you have an How many of you have an idea क्या क्या पढ़ना होता है? Do you have an idea about it? पहले मुझे ये बताओ बस. Okay. You know, I'll just quickly maybe talk about that and then we'll move to the problem. For those who are not in like not interested in these talks, भैया ज्ञान की बातें नहीं करनी है, काम की बातें करो. ठीक है. तो there is a problem statement that is pinned in the chat. Read that problem statement, okay? Because that was a task. Okay. So देखो, सबसे पहले तो people are expected to learn programming. There are exactly 10 skills, right? There are exactly 10 skill set that you have to learn in today's time. अगर तुम ये 10 skill set ready कर ले रहे हो by any time anyhow, तो तुम sorted रहोगे, नहीं तो नहीं sorted होगे. ठीक है. एक तो होती है प्रोग्रामिंग वाली स्किल कि भाई भैया C++, जावा, पाइथन, आई कैन राइट कोड्स इन नॉर्मल लैंग्वेजेस लाइक C++, जावा, पाइथन. फिर एक हो गया DSA एंड CP स्किल्स. CP भी पूरी नहीं करनी है, आई थिंक enough for OAs and all. I think till that point, but again that point is also 1600 plus on CF and almost like at least night and maybe guardian on this. ठीक है. Lead code type, at least that level you have to build in DSA CP. फिर एक हो गया dev. I'll say dev in some form, like either mobile or full stack, right? Either mobile or full stack you have to do some form. Dev तुम्हें करना पड़ रहा है. ठीक है. That you need to know front end, back end, basic cloud, basic AWS पे deploy करना and knowing the basic things about around dev. ठीक है. फिर एक core CS पढ़नी पड़ती है. You have to learn core CS also to be ensure that you know compiler, कोआ तो नहीं पूछते ज्यादा, but OS, DBMS, networks, SQL, ये सब चीजें पूछते हैं, right? Then you have to do like I think you need to learn about foundational AI ML. I mean, मतलब कभी कभी कोई कोई कंपनीज जो थोड़ी एमएल वाली टाइप साइड के है, वो तुमसे बेसिक एमएल की क्वेश्चंस, राइट? दे कैन आस्क यू अबाउट बेसिक एनएलपी, बेसिक टेक्निक्स इन एआई दैट आर बीइंग यूज्ड, ऑल दीस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. ओके. ओके. नेक्स्ट फिर होता है फिर थोड़ा सा जेन एआई, मतलब मैं थोड़ा बोलूंगा इसको जेन एआई रेडीनेस. मतलब कि यू आर एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ थिंग्स वर्क इन जेन एआई एंड ऑल, राइट? ये थोड़ा एक एमएल वाला स्पेस है. This is optional, but I think a student should nowadays because धीरे धीरे companies पूछ रही है. I was just talking to a student and she told me that Microsoft के interviews में भी पूछ रहे कि अच्छा एक task है, उसमें तुम अगर तुम्हें agentic structure बनाना है, तुम कैसे इसको approach करोगे, right? From first principles. So these kind of things are being asked in software developer interviews nowadays. Slowly, not much, but slowly. ठीक है. तो ये एक नया realm अभी slowly push in हो रहा है. Okay, this is something that is coming slowly into the picture. Okay. Then you have like system design, right? इसमें भी there is HLD, LLD. I don't want to get into depths right now. I think I have explained these things, right? So this is also expected. फिर थोड़ा बहुत I expect people to also do aptitude, क्योंकि not everybody will directly get into product based companies. Some people have to sit for a lot of service based companies. उनके टेस्ट में aptitude वगैरह पूछते हैं. So you should be decently good with this. And then तुम्हें एक resume and behavioral prep करना है. Behavioral prep 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. ठीक है, 9. और एक जो मेरे को लास्ट लगता है, which I think you cannot really prepare, but I think college plus CGPA is another factor which you should focus on. मतलब I'll not say कि ये decider ही है, but in a lot of colleges this does matter, right? तो ये एक और चीज है. तो ये 10 चीज पे I think at the end of the day तुम्हें invest करना पड़ रहा है, right? Tell me how many of these would you rate yourself on कि I am above average? एवरेज बोल रहा हूँ, so इंडिया का एवरेज बहुत कम है एक्चुअली. ओके, how many of these 10 would you say that I am above average in terms of this? Discord नहीं यार, Telegram join कर लो. I think that is the place where we discuss mostly. Okay, you have to be above average in all of them actually. Okay, that's the target zone. Okay. Okay, above average is so in all. Okay, got it. Yeah, it's fine. You can be above average in all. It's not impossible. It's not impossible that you cannot be above average in all of them. Okay, it is possible. There are students who are at that stage. Okay, and many हम लोग खुद को बहुत मतलब ऐसे बहुत बार बहुत लोग ऐसे होते हैं कि people estimate average is very high. It's not. Average ये है कि DSA में लोगों से 2 पॉइंटर सॉल्व नहीं हो, मतलब 2 पॉइंट बेसिक 2 सम से 3 सम चले जाओ तो उनसे क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं हो रहा. दैट्स द एवरेज. ओके, इंडिया का. ओके, टू सम प्रॉब्लम भी आधे लोग एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर पाते कि if they are using hashing, how is that hashing working internally? Many people are not able to explain that. Okay, why would a ML guy require AI ML? Why would a ML guy require ML? वो तो लगेगा ही उनको. ठीक है, टू सम का मैं ट्वीक करूंगा तो कर पाओगे क्या? रटा हुआ क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ रहा हूं मैं. Everybody at this point average is memorizing 70 80 100 top DSA problem from sheets. ये इंडिया में everybody is doing. Okay, उसके बाहर बताओ उससे ऊपर हो कि नहीं. Okay, okay, cool. So these are the 10 skills. इस पे फोकस करना है, but I think अभी हम लोग will focus on the problems that we had for this series, right? Abhi we'll come back to questions. So I looking at the questions, and I didn't want to take too hard of problems and too easy of problems into the series as well, because there are some companies which ask extremely like 200 rated CF problems also, and some companies which ask very easy questions. Okay, but I just wanted to take up problems that are good, which have come, and like the student all actually said that they were not able to solve these questions as well. So these things are actually something you have to build acumen for. This was an OA of PhonePe, right? This is an OA of PhonePe, which we are discussing right now. So there are one problem and two problem, right, which we'll be discussing, and then we'll be moving to that task that I've pinned in the chat. Okay, so these two problems I think we'll be discussing, as well as we'll be discussing the task that is given to you, so that you have an idea on how to approach it. If you read the problem, if you think it's too easy, you can skip to the next problem. I mean, you can see the problem from going back in time in this point, right? But then if you are done with both the DSA problem, read the problem statement that was given as a task. Okay, can all of you access, can I get some +1 in the chat if you can see the task that I have pinned in the Google Doc? Quick +1 if you are able to see that doc. I don't care which company it is. Okay, Atlan. I don't want to get into the details of Atlan, but you can research it on your own. I'll not get into that. You can research about it more. But it's like it's a good problem statement, and I think we should discuss that. And over time, it is becoming that you should know what a 1 year, 2 years experienced dev person should know. Okay. So let's start with this problem, because if we keep talking about these things, we'll probably spend the whole night over here, right? तुम तो बोलोगे भैया पूरे नाइट बैठते हैं. So essentially this first problem, I think, I don't know if you read this problem quickly, if you can read this problem quickly or not. Basically it says that it should contain two zeros continuously exactly once. 0 0 exactly once. Okay, this is the restriction. Okay, it is saying that you have to generate a sequence where there are n positions. Okay, you have to fill 0 0, you have to fill 0 or 1 in the places such that the two zeros, two neighboring zeros is present in the string exactly once. Okay, yes, assault, I think that's the correct state. So see, how do you approach these problems? This is a standard DP problem. If you have seen my series, you should be able to approach this problem. Uh, or if you have attended my class, so then definitely I have taught the same state also in the class. But 0, 0, it's like a restriction. This is a restriction, right? So first of all, there is a sequence where every position has a choice. Choice is either 0 or 1. So if you see my DP workshop, I have talked about form 1. This is a standard form 1 problem. Okay, this is a standard form 1 problem. Once you know the form, questions become super easy. This is a standard form 1 problem. Okay, make transition diagram. We don't do these things. Okay, if you have not studied my DP workshop, maybe after this video study that. You will not go into this time transition diagram and stuff. People learn a lot of things that are not required. Okay, so this is DP workshop's form 1 problem, because it's like a sequence to be created where every position has a choice. As soon as you see this setup, your brain should say DP. Okay, so you will write DP of I comma dash dash, and the question is saying count the number of things modulo some number. Okay, so yeah, you will return the count of valid ways to fill the rest of the position I onwards. This is the setup of form 1. Okay, this is the setup of form 1. Whenever you are doing a form 1 problem, you try to see this diagram. Okay, okay, Ajay is saying I'm that Misho guy. My friend also got selected in Sapla. I suggested a channel to him. Super happy to see that the content is helping. Okay, so why only PNC work? Yeah, I think only PNC might also work, but I don't want to go into that direction today, because I want to think of ways to teach you DP. Okay, there is one way in which you can figure out some sort of inclusion exclusion, but I don't want to get into that for today. Okay, so when you are at ith position, one thing is this substring has to occur exactly once. It is covered in my thing that you have to detect whether this choice of 0 or 1 will trigger a 0, 0 or a 0, 1, right? Whether 0, 0 is getting formed or not, you have to control that. So you have to maintain the last character taken in your state. Okay, you guys saying anyone from tier 5? Okay, कोई है तो बता दो, right? I think we should build a small community, right? People who are active on channel, maybe like I had a Discord channel earlier, but इतना spam हो जाता है उस पे, फिर then it's very hard to monitor. Which place are you from? I'm from Kolkata originally, but now I'm staying in Bangalore. Okay, so you need to maintain what will help you detect this is happening or not. Plus, there is another restriction. This is happening or not has to happen only once. So there has to be a second state which will help you detect, count how many times has it happened. Or like you can say, since we have to count exactly once, I'll say done, whether we have found a 0, 0 or we have not found a 0, 0 yet. Okay, so which place we are currently feeling, assuming that the previous states have been filled. Last, what is my last character, 0 or 1? Done means it's 0 means I have not yet formed 0, 0. 1 means I have formed 0, 0 exactly once yet. So once you have 1, you cannot allow a 0, 0. Suppose you are at this state. This is if you are at this configuration. See, your DP state is DP of you are at the third position. Your last is 0 and you have not yet formed a 0, 0. So you can place a 0 here or a 1 here. Based on this, you will go to, if you place a 0, you will go to DP. Now I have to fill the position number 4. This is index 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I have to fill index 4. Last position is a 0 and I have now triggered a 0, 0. So my done is 1 now. Okay, this is the state I will go into. And then the second state is if you pick a 1, you will go to dp of 4 comma, since you picked a 1 here, for 4 the last position is 1 and you have not formed a 0 0. So this is the state. This is how transitions get formed. every restriction in problem every restriction in problem translates to state changes in the dp. Okay, and this is what you have to maintain, and based on that these transition diagrams are created. Okay, this is almost like exact, not exactly this state, but similar ideas has been covered in dp workshop. If you have not covered it, please cover it. Even if you have learned from some sheet or some other playlist, I think, I hope most of the people who watch my channel know that there is level 1, level 2, level 3. In level 1 people complete a programming language, level 2 people complete some sheet or do standard lead code problems. In level 3 then they come to me and then they start studying how to think about new problems from first principles. This is where we are right now. So you have to do some basic, you need to know what is dp and all, but even if you don't know that, you have to learn dp the right way, and a lot of that has been covered in the dp workshop. Which is unavailable, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so this is the idea for this problem, and this is uh you bfs, how will bfs count? If it is a counting problem, you have to count. Counting problems are never bfs, no. If you had to find the smallest string, then maybe bfs and all. Counting cannot be done by bfs, it's not that trivial. Okay, bfs is the shortest path or minimization problem. Okay, okay, we'll take the amazon one next, in the next one. Okay, I was taking this because somebody mentioned this. I'll not mention to the college name also. I think he mentioned in the chat, in the message, that please don't mention my name or the college, right? But it's a good college only, and there only they had this test on campus test of PhonePe, and this question was taken. So this is a standard DP problem. Yeah, minimum or lexicographical smallest can be done with BFS, correct, but not the standard DP problem that we are doing right. Okay. So the number of ways to fill with a 0 or a 1, add these two and you will get the answer over here. This is the DP state. Okay. I don't know which college is, what stage is VITA. Okay. Somebody mentioned, yeah, VIT Vellore it was. Oh, okay, nice, interesting. Okay, so people know which college it was. Okay, fine, no problem. I mean, anyways, if I take a problem, people will know that somebody from that college watches my video and they'll know which college this is. So, anyways, there's no point in hiding college. Okay. So, Sovik, then you are doing some backtracking. That's not, that will daily. Okay. That is what the person did also, I think. This person also did the daily. Okay. This is a DP problem. This can be lead code second or third problem. Last stream replying question was from ITBBS. Yeah, I mean, I have collection of questions from almost all campuses, but I obviously can't share that. Okay. We keep that, we collect that from students to improve AZ mostly. So, but I can take some questions on stream directly, right? Okay, next problem. So this is a DP problem. Next problem in the same test, very similar type. How do you solve this problem? Yeah, this is a combinatorics problem. This is not a DP problem. Don't go back to DP again. I mean, you can solve it with DP, but it's not helpful at all. You can do it with basic combinatorics. For the first position, you have 26 options. But suppose you place A, right? Small a. Then in the next place, you cannot place A again. So here you have 25 options. So suppose you place C. So here now you have except C anything. So 25 options again. So the answer will be 26 into 25 to the power n minus 1. That is your answer. Right? Exactly. This is a direct permutation combination problem. This is not even a coding test. So people feel that maths is not required in like DSA and CP, which is very very wrong, right? Right. If you haven't done this, I think like in the combinatorics part of AZ, if you see, there are more such problems that you can solve. Okay, this is something that you can explore once, like the maths for programming wala course. There are more problems related to this. Okay, this is like please study these things. Like these are very basic combinatorics, and you should know how to approach these kind of problems. No, these were the two out of the four which the guy could not solve, and they wanted to discuss. And I also wanted to save some time so that right. This is something that you can do. Quant fest के लिए probability कहाँ से कर सकते? The probability, I think you have to study linearity and stuff. AZ, if you are in AZ, I think there are some good questions. I think there is a green book of quant puzzles of probability and stuff. Study those problems for sure. Uh, yeah, I think that's the source. Plus, heard on the street is a place where you can also get certain problems. I don't think there are any other source. Okay. Okay. So this is a permutation combination problem. Clear, everyone? So, देखो, if I have to suggest, people come and ask me, Vivek, tell me topics that I have to study. You have to be good at only 6 core topics. एक तो STL, then there is binary search, 2 pointers, DP, graph, right? And classicals, like classical 870, blind 75, all those problems, right? Okay. STL. When I say STL, people think that oh Vivek, I know STL. No, there are good algorithmic design problems of STL. Constraints, the person did not mention, but even if it's 10 to the power 9, you will be able to solve it, right? This should be possible to be calculated. Okay. Graph, I would include trees in graph actually. Like this is not the binary trees, right? Right. Binary search, definitely very important. 2 pointers is important. I would say a lot of questions come around these. DP though, we just saw a problem. Maths, I'll keep as a separate topic. It's not really required that much, but I think if you don't know how to use modulo properly, if you don't know how to use basic calculations, combinatorics like this, then you will always struggle in some problem like this. Okay. In fact, many DP problems need some maths. So that's why it is required. NRE trees would be a little bit classical or it will be in graph, depends on the problem. STL problems of AZ. Huh? No, Mo's on trees not expected in interviews, in OAs. It though can come, anything can come in OAs these days. Okay, anything can come in OAs, but I don't expect many such problems to come in general. Okay. That is level 4 prep, ICBC related prep, when you want to study moves on trees and all. These things I think I covered in ICBC season 2. Okay. So this is the type of, these are the 6 topics that I'll suggest you should focus on. These are classical sheet problems, 75, blind 75, all these problems. Then you have to study core STL, which is CP related, binary search CP related, 2 pointer CP related, DP and graph. These are the 5 topics to this, and all of them have very good like thinking models to be built. Like I think I have also talked about binary search multiple times. There are standard frameworks, right? There are like, first you have to do Binary search on answer, I think many of you hear, but there are more ideas inside it. Binary search on atomic item, binary search on sweeping. The check function can be sweep. Kth finding, these are ideas that are existing. And many problems like there is there. I don't want to build the whole framework right now. Two pointers has like essentially four, there is a check, can it be solved by two pointers? And there are four forms. One, two, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 is the window problem, the sliding window wala form, I would say. This is essentially your classical dynamic window. This is fixed window, this is dynamic window. Then there is the two sum type idea that these two window move like this. Okay, and the third form is essentially you have two different segment on which two different pointers are moving and trying to match things in this, right? Yesterday CFD was kth digit. That's a binary search problem. We have solved similar to that in binary search. In bit manipulation in AZ, Akash will solve them when the batch comes there. Okay, so this is the framework for two pointers. No problem of two pointer can be outside this framework. It's not possible till the level of 2300 or 2200 at least. Okay. Similarly, in graph there is like framework for that. Like what all ideas can exist possibly. You cannot have problems beyond it. Okay. So these are the different things that you have to study properly, and this takes time. Once you're done with this, next you have to move to the other skills that we were talking about. कि भाई हाँ, this is sorted now. This is I think ये तो अब minimum है. This is minimum required now. This is minimum required now. Then you can focus on like course. Yes, people study at the end before interviews and all. So this also you have to do, right? System design a little bit you have to do. LLD at least if you're a fresher. HLD if you are. I think you have to know basics of all. There's no escape from that. Okay. Resume and behavioral problems. I think these things though you'll have to prepare at the end only. These things people do at end. That's not a problem. Aptitude and all. But these things you have to study. If any there we can there are tiny places where we can just try filling each place and see. Pradeep, I think you are thinking in the direction of some brute force idea. It will not work. You have to have structural positioning. Okay. ICPC wala, I think there is a final contest left. But yeah, I'll get it added. I have already asked it, but it has been taking a little bit of time. I'll get it added. Okay. कितना पढ़ोगे? Hard. Okay, I'll get it added. Okay, let's move to the problem statement that I've attached in the chat. Have you all seen the problem statement? Quick +1 if you have seen it. How many of you have read the problem statement I've attached in the chat? Or please put in a -1 if you have not read it. I'll explain then. No issues. Okay. So the problem statement basically says, I'll open it up for you all. I think that will be better. For that, I'll have to go to the YouTube. I have that link, but I don't know where did it go. So I'll open the sheet that I've pinned. It's the problem statement that you guys can see. It is there in the first chat. Okay. So maybe I'll move it in the another window and can discuss this. Okay. When do I get the mail regarding my item redeemed from store? Yeah, it is getting dispatched this month. Taking too much maths, too much time. I also talked to the team. Why is it taking so much time? So last vendor change has happened, so that's why there's a little delay. This is not maths. This is design. This is like you have to build a system that solves their problem. Okay. Okay. So they asked you to give them a high level diagram, an explanatory document, a video, and you have to make a GitHub repo link that you can send them. deploy demo link if you can possibly. So this is like the level of task that is getting. Okay. So these kind of questions are asked in these days in a lot of startups, lot of good companies also. And I think task based hiring will be the future eventually, right? That you will have a task, you will have DSA round, you will never be able to escape from any. मतलब लोग सोचते हैं कि dev कर लेता हूँ DSA नहीं करना पड़ेगा, या DSA कर लेता हूँ dev नहीं करना पड़ेगा. There is no escape anymore. Okay. Okay. I tried making a Grafana dashboard for this task. Along with Prometheus Hotel, etc. in code, but wasn't selected for interview round 3. I don't know. I mean, that's the desired solution. I hope so. Like, like that's the desired solution. Anyways, the first thing that when you get these tasks, if you have no idea how will this go through, just throw this in GPT and understand the problem statement. Because for many people, you would not know that this is an observability challenge. What is this observability challenge, or what is these kind of things? Okay, that basically you need to first of all understand what is dev, right? That you might be using a front end and it is calling some sort of back end, and this backend might be calling some external API, and it might be calling some there might be, it might be using some database, right? It might be doing some other logging, like you might be doing some printf statement and it might be getting logged somewhere, right? External API, right? And there is a backend spelling. Okay, so there are multiple such, like very simple service. And then what is observability is, like suppose you slept at the night, and at the night something went wrong and people were saying that your server were not working, and in the morning it is again back to correct time, it again back to correct. How will you figure out what happened at the night? So you have to do some sort of logging or some sort of measuring that happens every instant so that you can tell in the morning. And this is a standard observability thing. Like, how do you monitor? Okay. So these kind of things, there can be some like other services also. There can be some message queue on which there is some workers and all, right? A very standard structure looks like this. I don't think anything like a basic server goes beyond this, I feel, right? There is some backend where there is some message queue which goes to some workers. There is some external API calls that are happening. Then there are some DB where you are saving something. This DB can be a Redis client as well, a Redis server as well. I'm just saying DB for now. It can be anything, right? Cache also, right? Logging server, right? So a basic server looks like this. Now what happens is when something goes wrong, how do you know what went wrong 5 hours ago? भैया HLD LLD एजेड प्रीमियम क्रैश कोर्स से करना चाहिए या पूरा? HLD तो देखो अभी क्रैश में है ही नहीं, LLD है सिर्फ. मैंने LLD का ही क्रैश कराया है, HLD की क्रैश नहीं हुई अभी. So you have to go through full only, preferably full of both. Okay. So coming back to this question, backend में जो setup है, how do you know what happened to this some time back, right? And for this is exactly why monitoring and things are set up, right? You have to know this logging that you are doing, basic logging might to a file might not be sufficient. Okay. Is the tech market getting better? uh Not really yet, but there is enough hiring, I feel. But if you are good, you should be able to get hired. Okay. But it's no longer there for everyone. I feel. ठीक है, अब वो दिन चले गए कि इजी पैसा मिलेगा. अब 2 साल मेहनत करोगे तो पैसा मिलेगा, नहीं तो नहीं मिलेगा. अब वो दिन आ गए. ठीक है. तो अगेन दैट्स द सिस्टम, बट अगेन हो रहा है अभी भी. देयर इज गुड मनी बीइंग मेड इन टेक. विल इट गेट बेटर इन फ्यूचर? नो. Neither will any other field. Everywhere else there will be replacement. So life for humans are going to get harder if you want to earn money. Okay. Okay, so front end, back end, message queue, these kind of things are there. Now you have to figure out how can you add monitoring. So the standard structure in which you possibly do this is you like do some code instrumentation. Like suppose you are writing some there inside this backend there is a code which is calling some function, right? And you might want to know how much time this function run to. So you can keep a start timer and end timer here, and you can log that to a file that hey, this function took this much time. But then you have to parse this logging file multiple times to see what happened in this function, how much time it's taking, was it taking too much time at the night and all. But that's a very rudimentary way of doing this. Okay, a better way is you collect these kind of data and then you send it to a separate server which will be doing these logging and building dashboards on top of it. So a very standard stack that is used is like OTel, or I'll say Open Telemetry, right? So there is something called as Open Telemetry instrumentations that you can do in the backend code, that you can add in the backend code, that will get the correct logs and all. Okay, and that will send these things to a server. Okay, now this collector can be in the same machine also, but I'm just writing it in the diagram for now. Okay, and this will send it to some sort of time series database server. uh, Time series database server, a very common choice of which is Prometheus. Okay, I don't know if you guys are gonna compare it with the Alien Prometheus. There is this movie, right? Alien. भैया मेरे को तो Alien Prometheus movie पता है ना? Okay, so whatever data is collected, it is sent to Prometheus. Okay, to store. This is like a database only, but a time series database because a lot of data is coming from here, and we have to save it time wise. And then on top of this, you build a Grafana dashboard. Okay, you build a Grafana dashboard to see the dashboard nicely. Okay, maybe I'll show you guys. I mean, Romulus is better than Prometheus. Okay, yeah, the movie is better. Yeah, true. I agree. I think there is a new series that has started in HD or somewhere. I haven't seen it yet. Alien 2025. There is a new series that has started, right? Okay, let's come back to studying, right? So this is essentially what happens. You take the data, save it in a DB, and then you have a dashboard system which takes it from here and shows it nicely in a chart. Okay, so I'll basically maybe show you some diagrams which will help you realize this. And also this logging that you are doing on files and all, searching through it will be very hard. So a very standard service that you can use for this is maybe like Loki or something. Okay, this is a very standard. These are standard softwares built in which it can take log lines and help you do bunch of things on top of it. Okay, but I don't want to get into details. In fact, I have not really worked with all of them. I have worked with Grafana dashboards and all, which was already set in a company, right? I haven't really worked setting up these things myself. I mean, I know how to do it now with AI, so I can definitely be able to do it. But you should know that this exists. This is how things are done in the industry. Now, once you know this, you can use AI to start learning and start building things. This single most skill that is required in today's time is to learn fast. If I tell you, okay, that there is something called as Prometheus, Loki, Grafana, you should be able to learn it and deploy a simple. You can create a Docker compose which contains the backend and a Prometheus server and a Grafana Docker container, and just make it up so that you can see all three of it. This should be something you should be able to do as a good engineer who is ready for job. If you are not able to do it, sorry my friends, you are not ready. If you think you are ready on your dev skills, think again. If you think you are ready on your dev skills, think again. This is what I'm saying. The level of CP, the level of dev has gone beyond level 2, which most people are learning to. लेवल 2 क्या होता है? शीट्स पढ़ ली भैया, शीट्स के क्वेश्चन रट लिए. लेवल 2 इसमें क्या होता है भैया? मर्न का फुल स्टैक सीख लिया. अरे भाई उसके बाहर नेक्स्ट लेवल पे हायरिंग हो रही है. जो तुमने पढ़ी ही नहीं है, ठीक है। यहाँ पर लाइक एकदम गार्जियन लेवल का परफॉर्मेंस होना चाहिए ऑलमोस्ट, तब जाके तुम थोड़ा डीएसए में कॉन्फिडेंट हो गए। यहाँ पर तुम्हें ये जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, ये सब वर्ड्स, as soon as I give you this, you should be able to AI Google with like use chat GPT तो नहीं मतलब GPT 4 5 सब models use करके you should be able to quickly read about it and set up a Docker compose which can do it in an instant. And ये बहुत hard नहीं है करना for someone who has been using AI for long time now. अब हो गया एक साल हो गया AI को आए हुए, अब तक तुम्हें सीख जानी चाहिए थी डिसेंट AI यूज करना, प्लस ये सब चीजें तुम्हें सीखनी पड़ेगी दैट दीज एग्जिस्ट। Where did you read about these things? A basic of this is what you read in HLD, because ये जो observability होता है ना, this is a very common problem and this is studied in HLD, number one. Number two, when you are doing dev, if you have a server, you should be able to set these things, and it's like a task that any DevOps or dev engineer generally does, and these things is there that you have to do. And यही problem statement था, this was the problem statement, that build a dummy backend server which can mimic some failure whenever you hit a certain API if you want, and try to showcase how would that work and what dashboards would you choose, the dashboards that you build in Grafana and try to showcase it, right? That's what the task was actually, if you think about it, कि ऐसे Grafana dashboard बनाओ जिसमें you will be able to showcase something relevant out of it, okay? And in Grafana dashboard पे क्या होता है, you will be able to see graphs. I mean, I can show you a graph. So, like, this is not really a Grafana dashboard, this is a demo. Like, I can show you a Grafana dashboard also. So कुछ है नहीं. Right? You can build cool graphs like this, like how much CPU usage is happening, how many memory usage is happening, how many logins are happening every day, right? How much load is there. You can build these graphs yourself. No, you should not be knowing all these things part of HLD. ये बस तुम्हें AI से सीख के बनाना पड़ेगा, वो भी 2 दिन के अंदर, 2-3 दिन के अंदर. Yeah, this was asked from a fresher. Okay. सुनकर अच्छा लगा, समझ नहीं आया, कुछ नहीं. सो देर आर 3 लेवल्स ऑफ लर्निंग. पहले सुनना होता है ताकि पता हो, अवेयरनेस लेवल. नेक्स्ट इज बेसिक्स, दैट यू नो व्हाट थिंग्स डू, देन यू कैन गो इनटू बिल्डिंग इट. तो लाइक ग्राफाना में भी यू कैन बिल्ड दीज थिंग्स योरसेल्फ. कि ऐसे रिक्वेस्ट आ रहे थे, बट उस एक टाइम पे जब रात को जब चल रहा था, तो ये जो मेरा लेटेंसी था, जो ऑर्डर्स का लेटेंसी, वो बहुत बढ़ गया. क्यों बढ़ा? क्योंकि बाकी सब भी सही चल रहा था, बट ये जो एक्सटर्नल एपीआई थी उसकी लेटेंसी बढ़ गई. एंड देन आई कैन लुक एट दिस एक्सटर्नल एपीआई, व्हाई वाज देयर सम सॉर्ट ऑफ फेलियर इन दैट एक्सटर्नल एपीआई at that point in time at night or not, and then maybe I'll be able to get an answer. Maybe OpenAI down tha kuch der ke liye and the AI servers were not working, so my AI response was not getting generated, and that's why my latency was taking a lot of time. It was doing 3 retries and then it was showing an error message. सो 3 रिट्राई तक वो सर्वर ऐसे होल्ड करके रख रहा था, मतलब क्लाइंट को होल्ड करके रख रहा था, एंड देन इट वाज शोइंग द एरर मैसेज. सो मे बी यू नीड टू थिंक ऑफ सम फेलियर mechanism, failure detection mechanism, ki if a lot of times a external service is getting an error, maybe you can flag it, it's broken, and then build a fallback route in the code. Okay. So these are things that you do. These are generally work of a DevOps engineer. These are work of a DevOps engineer. But when you go to startups, I think startups में ऐसा काम तुम्हें भी मिल सकता है as a software engineer, and you are expected to do all these kind of things. पहले मुझे लगता था कि ये सब क्या कर रहे हैं, ये सब क्यों कर रहे हैं, है ना? In Google, I had all good tools made already. But then when you go into a startup, you realize कि वो सब चीज मुझे आना चाहिए, right? Okay, this is the setup, this is the deal. And believe me when I say this, देर आर पीपल हु नो ऑल दिस, या फिर वो एक दिन में सीख के कर देंगे। मतलब तुम जिस कंपनीज की बात कर रहे हो ना कि 40-50 एलपीए दे दो भैया, मुझे इसकी पैकेज चाहिए, उस कंपनीज के लिए जो लोग बैठ रहे हैं, वो लोग ये सब पढ़ रहे हैं, मतलब पढ़ के बना देंगे रात भर में। वो अपनी डेव स्किल्स एंड डीएस स्किल्स उस लेवल पे रखते हैं। I can guarantee you that I have seen so many students who can do all these things. Are you a DevOps engineer? No, no. I am a simple Django backend engineer. I'll say probably. I am just a backend. I am a generalist यार. जो भी बोलो मैं सीख के कर दूंगा, अब तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है. But I would say I am a backend engineer. ठीक है. I am not a DevOps engineer as such. मुझे नहीं आता. मुझे Kubernetes नहीं आता. I'll be very upfront about it. But तुम मुझे खड़ा करने बोलोगे एक डेमो सर्वर तो कर दूंगा रात भर में. जब तक मेरे पास एआई है तब तक हो जाएगा। ठीक है। सो मैंने वो ऐसे सीखने के लिए ऐसे क्यूब सीटीएल पे ऐसे डेमो डेमो कमांड्स चला के सीखा हुआ है थोड़ा बहुत, ठीक है, बट इट डजंट रियली हेल्प एज सच। ओके, बट देन बेसिक्स तो पता होनी चाहिए ओवर टाइम की क्या होता है क्या नहीं होता है, राइट? तो ये सब चीजें सीखनी पड़ती है ओवर टाइम, और कोई तरीका नहीं है। एंड द थिंग इज दीज थिंग्स यूज्ड टू बी एक्सपेक्टेड फ्रॉम पीपल हु हैव वर्कड इन द इंडस्ट्री फॉर 1-2 years। अब ये फ्रेशर से भी एक्सपेक्ट किया जाता है। तुम फ्रेशर में भी तुम इस लेवल पे नहीं हो तो देयर इज नो एंट्री फॉर यू इन द इंडस्ट्री। एग्जैक्टली, विद एआई यू, मतलब मैं सच बता रहा हूं, ये चीज बनाना बहुत हार्ड नहीं है। ओके okay? जैसे तुम जो बोल रहे हो ना कि भैया ये तो बहुत हार्ड है, आई मीन इफ आई जस्ट ओपन अ चैट जीपीटी राइट नाउ एंड आई स्टार्ट प्रॉम्प्टिंग इट कि मेरे पास 5 है, मैं 5 का थिंकिंग एक्टिवेट कर दूंगा तो और बेटर होगा। ठीक है, बस मैं इसको प्रॉम्प्टिंग करना स्टार्ट करूंगा तो इट विल स्टार्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग एवरीथिंग, एंड मैं बोलूंगा कि बेसिक्स ऑफ डेवऑप्स तो आना ही चाहिए। मतलब you can ask what should we know exactly। कुछ नहीं, तुम्हारा सैंपल बैकएंड सर्वर बन गया, ठीक है, प्रोमीथियस सर्वर आ गया, ग्राफाना डैशबोर्ड बन गया, कंटेनर लेवल मैट्रिक्स तुम्हें देखनी है, अगर उसको स्टोरेज चाहिए तो से एडवाइजर मैंने यूज नहीं कर रखा है कभी, ठीक है। ये तो एक्सपोर्ट नोड से डेटा एक्सपोर्ट करके भेजने के लिए होता है, यूज करते हैं। लोकीज फॉर लॉक स्टोरेज एसेंशियली। क्या करना है इस कोड, मतलब तुम्हें इतना टाइम तो लगना ही नहीं चाहिए, पता नहीं क्यों। सिंपल ये रिक्वेस्ट काउंट जो है, देखो ये रिक्वेस्ट काउंट जो लिख रहा है यहाँ पर, राइट, इज अ काउंटर। काउंटर कम्स फ्रॉम प्रोमीथियस क्लाइंट, राइट। सो इट्स बेसिकली देयर इज अ बेसिक हेल्थ का, मतलब हेल्थ का एक एपीआई है, एंड देयर इज अ आइटम्स एपीआई, राइट, which basically randomly simulates a occasional error, एंड बाकी में वो रैंडम ऐसे मतलब डेटा भर के भेज दे रहा है। एंड दिस इज व्हाट द सर्वर इज। नाउ यू कैन सेट द, पूरा कर ही देगा, मतलब लोग कर ही रहे हैं, मतलब पीपल आर यूजिंग एआई फॉर दिस, एंड यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू दिस विद चैट जीपीटी। ऑब्वियसली यू नीड सब्सक्रिप्शन, ठीक है। फॉर अ मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट प्लीज एक सब्सक्रिप्शन ले लो। जेमिनाई प्रो इज फ्री फॉर ऑल, एटलीस्ट यूज जेमिनाई प्रो इफ यू कैन नॉट अफोर्ड। बट एक सब्सक्रिप्शन तो तुम्हें चाहिए. You can ask it to tell me what to do step by step and it will tell you. ठीक है. नहीं समझ भैया क्या लिखा हुआ है ये, व्हाट इज ये, क्या लिखा हुआ है, पूछो, सिंपल. No. How will company distinguish between good and bad engineer? A good engineer will be able to ship this in 2 days. A bad will not be able to do it. Speed is what differentiates and clarity of prompting is what differentiates. ठीक है. And there is also like if you are working at a level where you are actually building things from scratch, then maybe if you are doing research, then maybe you need to be good at other things also. But at a level where everybody is getting hired at this point, majority of you will get hired for, उसमें नहीं चाहिए इतना ज्यादा टेक नॉलेज. मतलब इन डेप्थ एकदम अंदर में कैसे काम कर रहा है ये वो तो नहीं चाहिए होता है. एग्जैक्टली. फंडामेंटल्स बहुत स्ट्रांग चाहिए. राइट. टेम्पो या येगर आता है, टेम्पो वर्सेस येगर करके तुम सर्च करोगे, सो यू विल गेट सर्टेन ब्लॉग्स. आई कैन जस्ट सर्च फॉर इट एंड ओपन इट. तो बस टर्म से यार फालतू चीजें, ज्यादा नाम मत जानो, ठीक है. सब नाम जान के कोई काम नहीं है. बेसिकली डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड सर्विस अगर है तो उसमें where exactly in which line was some issue happening, you basically build some spans and like context for it, and उसके लिए there are tools like Jaeger and Jaeger जैसे यूज कर मैंने देख रखा है थोड़ा बहुत. ठीक है. तो बस ऐसी चीजें एग्जिस्ट करती है बस, और कुछ नहीं. बस एआई से पूछो वो बता देगा. उसके जगह टेम्पो यूज कर रहा है और कुछ नहीं, ट्रेसेस बिल्ड करने के लिए. So everything is all about prompting AI rightly and understanding what is there in the task, understanding things, all these things. तो common sense एक बहुत हाई चाहिए, speed चाहिए, right? You would not be a bad developer would not be able to think about कि मेरे को फट से एक docker compose up करना है जिसमें ये सारे सर्विस हो, and मेरे को बस एक EC2 पे डाल के up करना है उसको. एक खराब इंजीनियर ये नहीं कर पाएगा. I can guarantee you that कि एक बिलो अगर तुम एवरेज इंजीनियर भी देखो इंडिया में, वो ये नहीं कर पाएगा. ये टास्क को 2 दिन में डिलीवर नहीं कर पाएगा. इट्स इम्पॉसिबल टू डिलीवर दिस टास्क इन 2 days अनलेस यू आर अबव एवरेज इंजीनियर. उसको ये पता ही नहीं होगा कि ऐसे करके डॉकर कंपोज बना के मैं फटाफट 2 ऐप अप कर दूं, बैकएंड में मैं ऐसे कोड लिख दूं और अप कर दूं तो हो जाएगा मेरा काम. ये एक एवरेज इंजीनियर नहीं कर पाएगा. दिस इज नॉट पॉसिबल. और यही लोगों को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि इसके इस लेवल के ऊपर जाना है. लोग अभी भी YouTube पे मर्न स्टैक सीख के सोच रहे कि मेरे को डेव आ गया, एंड इसलिए लोग मेरे को आके बोलते हैं भैया हायरिंग नहीं हो रही है. मैं बोल रहा हूं अगर तुम ये प्रोजेक्ट बना दोगे ना 2 दिन में, मैं तुम्हें ऐसे कंपनी में रेकमेंड कर दूं जहां तुम हायर हो जाओगे इंस्टेंट. मैं मजाक नहीं कर रहा हूं. देयर आर गुड स्टार्टअप्स हु आर विलिंग टू टेक पीपल हु कैन डिलीवर एट स्पीड, बट लोग ये नहीं कर पाएंगे. अब तुम डॉकर लिखे हो तो ये डॉकर फाइल में क्या लिखते हैं, डॉकर कंपोज में क्या लिखते हैं, इनका मीनिंग क्या होता है, वॉल्यूम का मीनिंग क्या होता है, नेटवर्क का मीनिंग क्या होता है डॉकर में, इमेजेस क्या होती है, ऑल दीज थिंग. ठीक है. यस हर्ष. ये तो नहीं एग्जैक्टली, मे बी जिस कंपनी में आएगी वो प्लेसमेंट टास्क वाला कर लो यार. जो कंपनी आएगी उनका जो टास्क रहेगा वो करना बेटर रहेगा हर्ष, है ना. For these type of problems, do we need to think of scale also? No, not really. Not really. You don't need to. No, you don't need to scale. तुम्हें demo servers ही बनाना है. Because the question was revolving around how good of metrics can you think of? What are the metrics to read about and stuff? ये सब चीजें तुम्हें समझनी पड़ेगी. तो it's not about scaling at this point. उन्होंने problem statement में scaling की बात ही नहीं की. If you see over here, they have not talked about scaling anywhere. बट मेट्रिक्स की बात की है कि कौन सी मेट्रिक्स चाहिए उनको, कैसे कवरेज बढ़ा है, क्या ये जो MTDD मीन टाइम टू डिस्कवरी एंड मीन टाइम टू रिस्पॉन्स या मीन टाइम टू रिजॉल्व होगा कुछ तो भी, तो वो सब चीजें कैसे करें. तो मीन टाइम टू डिस्कवरी होता है या मीन टाइम टू कुछ होता है, पता नहीं क्या होता है। मीन टाइम टू मीन टाइम टू डिटेक्ट, वही डिस्कवरी ले लो डिटेक्ट ले लो, एक ही बात है। ठीक। Okay, this is essentially the task. Then read more about this, है ना। तो जो नहीं पता वो एआई को पूछो और उसके समझो बैठ के, मतलब यही करना है दिमाग में, और मतलब यही काम है तुम्हारा एट द एंड ऑफ द डे। ओके सर, एआई बबल बर्स्टिंग नॉट रियली, आई थिंक 2 more years, 2 more years into it I feel। आइदर विल गो इनटू अ स्टेज जहां पर शायद हमारी और तुम्हारी कोई जरूरत ही नहीं होगी, या फिर एआई बबल विल बर्स्ट। ठीक है, तो तुम टेंशन मत लो यार, हायरिंग बहुत होगी इंडिया, मतलब इंडिया में लोगों के बिना कंपनी चल जाए ये हो नहीं सकता, है ना। लोग और पॉलिटिक्स कंपनी से कभी नहीं निकलने वाले इंडिया में, तो देयर इज गोइंग टू बी एम्पल अमाउंट ऑफ हायरिंग। ठीक है, डोंट डोंट फील अदरवाइज। ओके, बट देन वो चीज बिना स्किल्स के तो नहीं होगी। ओके, वो चीज बिना स्किल्स के तो नहीं होगी। अगर तुम्हें तुम्हें लग रहा है कि तुम डीएसए के बेसिक क्वेश्चन करके तुम्हारा लग जाएगा, या डेव के एकदम बस मर्न स्टैक बनाना आता है उससे तुम्हें कंपनी में जॉब मिल जाएगी, तो तुम बहुत दूर हो अभी जहां हायरिंग हो रही है उससे। ठीक है, एंड लोग अगर कंप्लेन कर रहे हैं कंपनी खराब है, मार्केट ही खराब है, तुम्हें नहीं आता ये बोलो। ठीक है, पर उसमें भी कोई गलती नहीं है, बिकॉज दुनिया में ना एक्सपेक्टेशन बहुत खराब सेट की गई है। मतलब कॉलेजेस में लोग बोलते हैं लास्ट ईयर में आके पढ़ लो हो जाएगा, जॉब लग जाएगी, ये वो शीट कर लो जॉब लग जाएगी। लग जाती है जॉब, मैं ये नहीं बोलूंगा नहीं लगती है, बट वो वैसे ही लगती है कि किसी तरह लग जाए बस। ठीक है भैया, कॉलेज वाले पैटर्न प्रिंट करवा रहे हैं, वो कर लो भाई। पैटर्न प्रिंट करने का अगर अच्छा तरीका सीखना है तो AZ 101 में मैंने एक बहुत अच्छा दिया है। Okay. Delivering at scale at cheap price not possible without cheap brains like Indians and Vietnam, Indonesia. True and false. The game is not about number of people. It's now number of capable peoples and capability beyond a threshold. So I don't think this is going to be true. But yeah, definitely India and Vietnam, Indonesia, these are advantages because everybody wants to cut cost. मतलब एक कंपनी ग्रो कैसे करेगी, ज्यादा सेल्स कम कॉस्ट। ठीक है, तो इसीलिए लोग इंडिया में आते हैं, और क्या, एम्प्लॉय की कॉस्ट कम है, इसलिए यूएस में ज्यादा ले ऑफ हो रहा है तो इंडिया से कंपैरेटिवली। अगर तुम उनके नंबर ऑफ पीपल हायर्ड का कितना प्रोपोर्शन ले ऑफ हो रहा है वो देखो, तो वो तो यूएस में ज्यादा ही हो रहा है ऑब्वियसली। ओके, समझ में आया। ये आज तुम लोगों को थोड़ा आइडिया लगा कि ये जो लॉगिंग वाला सिस्टम होता है ऐसा कुछ एग्जिस्ट करता है, ये सब चीजों के बारे में थोड़ी पढ़नी पड़ेगी। ये सब आइडिया तुम लोग समझ में आ रहा है कैसा, मतलब व्हाट इज द एक्सपेक्टेशन, आर यू एबल टू गेट दैट। मेरा टास्क यहाँ आके मैच सॉल्व करने का मुझे एजेंडा नहीं है, ये तो 2 दिन का टास्क है, ये तो तुम्हें बैठ के डेव करना पड़ेगा, एंड मे बी हम वो भी कर सकते हैं, आई कैन लाइव स्ट्रीम एंड वी कैन डू सम डेव टास्क ओनली। बट प्रॉब्लम वो नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम ये है कि अवेयरनेस ही नहीं है कि करना क्या है, क्या पूछा जा रहा है मुझे। ठीक है, लाइव क्लास कब कब होगा, संडे को 2 क्लासेस है ना तुम्हारी, अभी इस संडे भी होगी 2 क्लास। अब तो नया मॉडल पे मूव कर गए हम लोग, एक दिन में मैराथन क्लासेस होती है अब तो। नहीं, 4 घंटे नहीं होती है, 2 2 घंटे गैप होता है बीच में, 4 घंटे का, बट एज देयर। भैया एजेड में ए में करवा दो स्क्वायर पॉइंट कैपिटल के बंदों से प्लीज। हाँ यार, ये मैंने सोचा है, मैं बुलाता हूँ स्क्वायर पॉइंट वालों को। ठीक है भैया, व्हेन विल आईसीपीसी रिकॉर्डिंग यार, डेट देना तो मुश्किल है, बट इस मंथ के एंड तक गारंटीड। ठीक है, इस मंथ के एंड तक गारंटीड हो जाएगा। ओके, मुझे कुछ कुछ और भी रिक्वेस्ट आई है भैया। ट्री डीपी का वो आपने नैपसैक फॉर्म जो पढ़ा है उसको एक बार वापस पढ़ा दो, नंबर 1। नंबर 2 डिजिट डीपी का ड्रिल करा दो, और ये तीसरा है आईसीपीसी रिकॉर्डिंग। ठीक है, नहीं नहीं, एंड कहा, अभी सेगमेंटरी के क्लासेस हुए ना तुम लोग के, अभी होगा ना अभी और भी क्लासेस। भैया व्हेन विल आईसीपी, ओके ये हो गया भैया। हैड अ रीसेंट इंटरव्यू, इज इट शॉर्टेस्ट प्रॉब्लम पूछा विद एजेड फ्रेमवर्क सॉल्व्ड इट रियली इजीली। नाइस, गुड। मतलब एजेड का ग्राफ तो बहुत ही स्ट्रांग है, मतलब अगर तुम पूरा कर लो तो बाहर तो प्रॉब्लम्स बन ही जाएंगे तुमसे। ठीक है, और कुछ पूछना है तो ऐसे डू यू वांट मोर ऑफ दीज एपिसोड्स, ऐसे और प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट्स, क्या क्या चीजें पूछी जाती है और क्या क्या चीजें आती है? शैल वी कीप डूइंग दीज एपिसोड्स एवरी वीक? यस, हाउ मेनी से यस? भैया आइडिया लगता रहेगा क्या क्या पढ़ना है, क्या क्या चीजें, मोटिवेशन आती रहेगी, इसके लिए आप एपिसोड लेते रहो। कैन यू, आई आस्क यू सी प्लस प्लस ट्रिक क्वेश्चंस, कैन आई आस्क यू सी प्लस प्लस ट्रिक क्वेश्चंस? तुम एजेड 101 के एमसीक्यूज करो, उससे डेंजरस ट्रिक क्वेश्चंस कुछ हो ही नहीं सकते। मुझे बताना कितने कर सकते हो, ठीक है? ओके, या विल कीप मोर रिसोर्सेज, सो स्लोली आई एम बिल्डिंग मोर एंड मोर थिंग्स, लाइक अभी जैसे प्रॉपर डॉक में ऐड करके वी आर, आई एम एडिंग दीज ऑन टू स्लाइड्स एंड ऑल, ऐसे धीरे धीरे विल मॉडिफाई दीज फॉर्मेट एंड ओवर टाइम दिस विल बिकम वेरी स्ट्रक्चर्ड। इट्स वेरी ट्रू, शीट प्रॉब्लम्स फील वेरी इजी आफ्टर एजेड, मतलब वो तो सही है ना, मतलब प्रॉब्लम 400 तुम्हें, टारगेट ही अलग है। एजेड में टारगेट है कि तुम्हें समझना है कि कैसे कोई भी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करे, शीट में है कि मेरे को 450 प्रॉब्लम रटने हैं। व्हेन द ऑब्जेक्टिव इज रॉन्ग तो आउटकम कभी सही हो ही नहीं सकता। हाँ, एल्गोरिथमिक पे एआई का भी कोर्स आ जाएगा सून, डोंट वरी। वो भी इन प्रोग्रेस है, एमएल का है, एआई जेन एआई वाला नहीं है, वो भी आ जाएगा, उसके प्रोजेक्ट्स है बट जेन एआई का डायरेक्टली नहीं है, वो भी आ जाएगा अभी सून। Amazon क्वेश्चन प्लीज। यार आज नहीं लेंगे यार, देखो पीपल आर सेंडिंग मी अ लॉट ऑफ ओए क्वेश्चंस बिकॉज आई नो दैट इज रेडीली अवेलेबल। I want you all to add questions around dev system design a little more, क्योंकि देखो ओए के क्वेश्चंस मेरे पास भी अच्छे, आई कैन कीप पिकिंग मोर क्वेश्चंस, बट तुम्हें जो डेव के चैलेंजेस मिले हैं, सिस्टम डिजाइन का एलएलडी राउंड तुमने फेस किया है, लेट्स सपोज तुमने किसी और चीज का फेस किया है कुछ, मतलब लाइक कुछ डिफरेंट टाइप, सो ऐड दोज इन द शीट दैट आई हैव प्रोवाइडेड, इन द लिंक दैट आई हैव प्रोवाइडेड, सो इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन देयर इज अ फॉर्म, उस पे ऐड करो, ठीक है? एजेड की 80% प्रॉब्लम सोल्यूशन देगा, हाँ तो एजेड तो सॉल्व एग्जांपल्स ही है एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, तो सॉल्व एग्जांपल्स ही देख रहे एक तरह से, ऐसा मत सोचो कि फेलियर है वो। अगर तुम 20% का सॉल्यूशन देखना पड़ता है तो तुम गलत जगह से सीख रहे हो फिर। मेरा तो एक्सपेक्टेशन होता है 70% तुम्हें देखना पड़े सॉल्यूशन, ताकि तुम कुछ नया सीखो। अगर प्रॉब्लम बन ही गया खुद से तो फिर तुम नया क्या सीखे बैठ के? कॉन्फिडेंस थोड़ा कम आता है, ट्रू, कॉन्फिडेंस चाहिए तो जाके शीट सॉल्व करो आशीष, ना क्यों टेंशन ले रहे हो? वो तो मैं बोलता ही हूँ क्लास में भी। भैया हाउ टू प्रिपेयर फॉर इन्फोसिस एसपी रोल, दिस इज या 1500। हाउ टू प्रिपेयर क्या, वो तो बस होगा तो होगा, डीए से आता है तो होगा, नहीं तो नहीं होगा, अब इसमें अलग से क्या प्रिपेयर करोगे? उस टाइम पे क्वेश्चन बना तो होगा। फर्स्ट ईयर एंड तक जेएस कंप्लीट बाय द एंड ऑफ नेक्स्ट ईयर, व्हाट शुड बी माय पाथ? यही है बात, बात तो यहाँ दिखा दिया ना मैंने। सोचो तुम, इन ईच ऑफ दीज देयर आर, आई कैन बिल्ड अ डिटेल्ड सिलेबस आल्सो, कि इसका लेवल 1 लेवल 2 लेवल 3, इसका डेव्स का भी लेवल 1 लेवल 2 लेवल 3, आई हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट दीस थिंग्स ऑन माय यूट्यूब, ठीक है? तो वो सब पढ़ना पड़ेगा, बैठ के उस लेवल पे पहुंचना पड़ेगा। एआई एजेंट्स और एमसीपी सर्वर बनाने को बोल रहे हैं, हाँ आना ही, मतलब यही मैं बोल रहा हूं। एंड you are not supposed to know about them, you should know what are they, but as soon as a task comes you should be able to learn it in a day and build it in another day, 2 days में you should be able to deliver, है ना? भैया डेव कहाँ से स्टार्ट करे भाई, पूरा तो स्ट्रक्चर्ड, इनफैक्ट लेवल 1 तो सबके फ्री ही है, तुम्हें तो कोई mang.in पे तो पूरा कोई परचेज की भी नीड नहीं है, तुम डेव का, मैं मजाक नहीं कर रहा हूँ, लोगों को लगता है मेरे को HTML CSS JS आता है, एक बार जाकर के तुम ये डेव का जो फर्स्ट का जो कोर्सेज है ना, फाउंडेशन वाले, ये एक बार करो प्रॉपरली, तुम्हें समझ में आ जाएगा कि आता तो नहीं है। ठीक है, ओके। देखो मैं ऐसा नहीं बोल, देखो जस्ट बिकॉज वी आर सॉल्विंग दिस इज डजंट मीन कि मैं एकदम कोई एंड, मतलब मैं बेस्ट डेव हूँ, बट डिसेंट एनफ डेव तो हर किसी को आना चाहिए, मुझे ऐसा लगता है। उसके बाद तुम स्मार्ट होने चाहिए कि तुम नया नया सीख के जल्दी से एआई से कर पाओ, ठीक है? वो डीए से बना देता है तुम्हें, मतलब इतना मैंने प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग किया है कि डेव इज जस्ट अनदर प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग फॉर मी। ये टूल है मेरे पास, मुझे इससे ये करवाना है, कैसे फिगर आउट करो बस। डीएसए में तो मैंने जिंदगी भर यही करा है। जिंदगी भर डीएसए में तो मैंने यही करा है कि मेरे पास 5-6 टॉपिक्स है, उसके मैंने प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व की, ये नया प्रॉब्लम है, उन टूल्स को यूज करके इसको सॉल्व करो। डेव भी एक वही सिनेरियो है घुमा फिरा के, कि तुम्हारे पास ये 3-4 टूल है, एआई है, जिसे तुम और कुछ नया सीख सकते हो, सीख के बनाओ। प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स है एट द एंड ऑफ द डे। एआई से पहले कैसे करते थे? एआई से पहले देयर वर पीपल हु वर एक्सपर्ट इन ईच डोमेन्स। एआई ने एक्सपर्टीज स्किल कर दी है एंड प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग का वैल्यू और बढ़ा दिया है। तो तुम्हें लग रहा है कि डीएसए वेस्ट है क्योंकि एआई कर दे रहा है, बट एट द एंड ऑफ द जो स्किल वो ट्रेन करता है वही तुम्हारा कोर डिफरेंशिएटर होने वाला है, कि हाउ फास्ट कैन यू लर्न समथिंग एंड डिलीवर। गिवन 5 टूल्स, you have to figure out how to use them better. Given 3 equations, how can you solve a new question given to you physics का? V equal to u plus at, s equal to ut plus half at square, v square equal to u square plus 2as। पूरा काइनेमेटिक्स का चैप्टर 3 इक्वेशन सॉल्व हो जाता है ना? सो यही है पूरा दुनिया, कि गिवन टूल्स, फिगर आउट हाउ डू यू प्लग एंड प्ले एंड मेक समथिंग सॉल्व। As well as there are depth required also. I'm not saying कि everything AI can do. There are depth that AI can't touch on, and I think there are people who are doing at a research level also a great work, जो शायद तुम या हम कॉम्प्रिहेंड नहीं कर सकते, कि उसके लेवल, उसके लिए तुम्हें एआई जितना आता है उससे ज्यादा डेप्थ में आना चाहिए तुम्हें एक्चुअली। बट क्या हम लोग रिसर्च कर रहे हैं एट द एंड ऑफ द डे? नो। अगर तुम सच में रिसर्च कर रहे हो, इफ यू आर सुपर क्यूरियस इंजीनियर, तो तुम खुद से कर लोगे वो चीज, मुझे बताने की जरूरत नहीं है। ओके, गुड, ठीक है, कूल। सो दिस इज द प्लेस वेयर स्टॉप फॉर टुडे। आज बहुत कुछ सीख लिया, ग्राफाना, प्रोमीथियस, ये वो बड़े बड़े नाम सुन लिए, राइट? I have to correct this. I have my Amazon interview. Just like send this mail to support once, support@algozenith.com once, Ankit, and mention that you have an interview. It will be scheduled on priority. Okay. Do want to do mixed practice? देखो, CSS is a good set which you can solve. फ्री में अगर तुम मुझे रिसोर्सेज पूछ रहे हो तो CSS is definitely the best resource that exists, है ना? पुराने ए टू मुझे लैडर्स मैंने अपने टाइम पे सॉल्व किए थे। बाकी यार कॉन्टेस्ट दो, फीडबैक लो। भैया मेरे से लीड कोड 3 क्वेश्चन हो जाते हैं, एजेड प्रीमियम लिया और अभी उसमें क्या करूं? ठीक है, तो वो जो एजेड डेवाइस कोर्स का जो नीचे के टॉपिक्स है वो स्टार्ट कर दो। ग्राफ डीपी तुम्हें जो पढ़ना है, जो तुम्हें लगता है कि ये टॉपिक मुझे इंप्रूव करनी है अपनी, प्लस क्लासेस अटेंड करो ऑब्वियसली। ओके, कूल। नेक्स्ट स्ट्रीम पे चलो एक क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, नेक्स्ट स्ट्रीम पे तुम्हें क्या चीज करना है? विच वन? सो वी टुक मशीन कोडिंग इन द लास्ट राउंड, आई मीन लास्ट। इसमें थोड़ा डेव टास्क हो गया, मतलब दिस वाज एक्चुअली अ डेव टास्क टू सम डिग्री, ठीक है? नेक्स्ट वाले में क्या लेना है? एलएलडी एचएलडी कुछ पिक करे, कौन सा पिक करे बताओ? विच ऑफ दिस स्कोप दैट यू वांट टू पिक इन द नेक्स्ट स्ट्रीम, जिसपे एक एग्जांपल कैसी पूछी जा रही है, क्या हो रहा है, जानना है। अरे डीएसए कितना करोगे? डीएसए डीएसए तो कर ही रहा, वो तो लेंगे ही, वो तो करते ही हम लोग हर स्ट्रीम। एप्टीट्यूड, ओके, इंटरेस्टिंग, ठीक है। विल ट्राई टू पिक सिस्टम डिजाइन अ लिटिल बिट। You can do LLD in C++ also. Some companies I have seen they want in Java, but उनको Spring Boot भी चाहिए फिर, तो तुम्हें Java आना ही चाहिए, नहीं तो तुम उसमें सिलेक्ट नहीं हो सकते। But most of them are fine with C++ में LLD तुम करो तो कोई इशू नहीं है। Okay, okay, ठीक है। सिस्टम डिजाइन, so there is a form in the description. Send in the problem that you want me to pick up, and then we'll take it up. डीबीएमएस का तो इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस मैंने यूट्यूब पे ऑलरेडी अपलोड कर रखे हैं, इंपॉर्टेंट इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस ऑफ डीबीएमएस, यू कैन वॉच दैट। ओएस वाला सीरीज भी अपलोड किया, वो भी अच्छा वीडियोस है यार, वो भी देख सकते हो। आई हैड टेकन दोस क्लासेस लॉन्ग अगो, बट आई थिंक दैट्स फेयरली गुड। ऐसे अच्छा ओवरऑल व्यू आइडिया लग जाएगा तुम्हें ओएस का। कैन यू मेक दिस प्रॉब्लम्स पब्लिकली अवेलेबल व्हिच आर गेटिंग सबमिटेड ऑन फॉर्म? नो, नॉट पॉसिबल, because people have PII, personally identifiable information in those screenshots and all. So I cannot make them publicly available. Okay. Bhaiya, hard DSA plus HLD plus LLD. Okay, let's see that. Maybe we'll take some LLD and try to learn some framework on how can you approach LLD problem. Okay, maybe we will try to do that. Okay. ठीक है, next stream में थोड़ा LLD focus करते हैं. Let's try to see. But you have to submit me the questions. Okay. Questions तभी pick होंगे जब वो submit होंगे. Okay. So submit the problems, I'll pick it up. But yeah, how is AC placement cell going? Going good, yeah. There are a lot of people who have done the task this month. So अभी उनका interview होगा इस month end पे, and then next month we'll start them matching them with companies. टास्क तो कर लिया है लोगों ने, अभी एक बार इंटरव्यू लेंगे तो पता चलेगा. इस मंथ उनका इंटरव्यू है जिनका हुआ है. पहले जो प्लेस हुए उनका तो अलग है, बट अभी जिनका चल रहा है वो तो इस महीने पता चलेगा क्या होगा अगले महीने. साइकिल्स में वी आर डूइंग इन साइकिल्स एसेंशियली. ओके भैया, एजेड प्रीमियम में हूँ, काफी फ्री फील कर रहा हूँ, प्रॉब्लम्स हो रहे हैं आजकल. गुड, ठीक है. चलो, कूल. This will be all for today. We'll meet again in the next stream. Next stream में और discuss करेंगे. LLD पे थोड़ा focus करते हैं. I think somebody mentioned, and I know that most of you guys have not been able to solve a lot of LLD problems. Okay, so LLD के ऊपर थोड़ा focus करते हैं. We will do some. I'll give you a basic idea of a smaller framework that you can use for freshers at least. And so there are like a 5-6 step framework that I suggest for freshers, and a 10-step framework to solve any LLD interview. So maybe we'll discuss that in the next interview, next one. A standard framework that I use for my interviews, or I would suggest anybody to use for an LLD interview specifically. तो वो next stream में let's try to discuss that. Okay. अगर तुम लोग LLD के क्वेश्चन सबमिट करोगे तो होगा वो, तो सबमिट करो क्वेश्चंस. ओके. मैथ्स इन सीपी आई एम नॉट टीचिंग टॉपिक्स. टीचिंग टॉपिक्स के दिन गए, वो मैंने बहुत पढ़ा लिए, एंड पीपल आर नॉट ऑलवेज इंटरेस्टेड इन दैट आल्सो. आई थिंक दीज आर मोर वीडियोज दैट आई फील पीपल शुड वॉच, ताकि उनको और आइडिया लगे कि क्या पढ़ना है, क्या करना है. क्योंकि रिसोर्सेज की, एज आई टोल्ड, रिसोर्स की कमी नहीं है इस दुनिया में. स्ट्रक्चर्ड पढ़ना है, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ गुड मटेरियल्स. एजेड प्रीमियम जिसमें मैं पढ़ा रहा हूँ वो भी एक बहुत अच्छा रिसोर्स है विच यू कैन गेट इनटू. shameless plug, but I think I know that it's one of the best resources in India at this point in time. ठीक है. But in general I think there are a lot of good resources available. ठीक है. तो पढ़ने की प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, लोगों को नहीं पता. ऐसा नहीं है कि कहाँ से पढ़े भैया, पता ही नहीं चल रहा है. ठीक है. बट पता ही नहीं है लोगों को पढ़ना है. Do you know what topics to learn for Citadel OA? I have seen a Citadel OA. मतलब OA तो अब जनरल हार्ड प्रॉब्लम आएंगे Citadel OA में यार, तो सॉफ्टवेयर वाले रोल के लिए. ओके. वह कॉलेज में नहीं आ रही है, भरोसा है. ठीक है, देखते हैं. कूल. दैट विल बी ऑल फ्रॉम माय साइड टुडे. But I have done this sheet, this. Now should I do CP or do lead code problems and learn a little bit of dev if you haven't? But yeah, mix and match all. भैया कॉलेज में कंपनी नहीं आ रही है, कर लेंगे यार. इज इट हर्ष? इफ यू, आई थिंक आई हैव सीन योर रेज्यूमे, तो आई नो योर स्टेटस एट दिस पॉइंट. तो डेव तो ठीक ठीक आता है. अगर ऐसे टास्क वगैरह कर ले रहे हो एंड ऑल, वो जो एजेड का भी जो टास्क है वो कंप्लीट करके सबमिट करो. ठीक है. आई एम वेरी पॉजिटिव कि लग जाएगा. मतलब तुम्हारे कॉलेज में जैसा लग रहा है उससे तो बेटर, उससे वैसा तो लग ही जाएगा. ठीक है. I'll suggest everyone is really great environment to work with. Got it. Okay. Cool. That would be all for today. Thanks for joining in, everyone. We'll wrap it up over here. I'll see you all in the next stream. Okay. Bye-bye. Keep learning and be happy.